I think made it difficult to have relationships, made it harder to have like
someone else you could rely on.
Yeah. And I grew up thinking I would get married, have kids, get divorced, and get on with my life, because that was my expectation. That was my expectation of like, even I said that even when David and I started dating, that was my expectation, because I was like, well, I don't need a partner to do any of these things.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
It was, and literally I believed that like in my soul, that I was like, gonna have kids and then get divorced and then just carry on with my life.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford. And this is We're Doing This Right, right? A podcast for the whole woman, mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you'll never miss an episode, and rate and review whenever you listen.
So find your earbuds, lace up your walking shoes, or cozy up with a beverage of your choice. It's time to dig in. Hi, I'm doing right. Colleen, sounds like you did it very right today.
Okay, first of all, I do want to tell you about that, but I want to tell everybody who is listening and not watching that Cheryl looks fucking amazing today. Your makeup looks so good, and you're looking so good, and your lighting looks great. So I just want everyone to know that.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone should be watching it on YouTube, or now on Spotify. You can watch it, which is really fun.
So fun.
But yeah, I had a super productive morning today, and I want to talk about it because I think there are a couple things that I realized because of this. So I fell asleep putting Vivian to sleep last night, which isn't awesome, but it was what it was. But what that meant was that I went to sleep at like 9 something, and I didn't stay up on my phone and like doom scroll or whatever. And I woke up early this morning. I woke up like at 5:30 or something like that, which typically I wake up at 6. So it wasn't that much earlier, but that half hour does make a difference. And today I took a shower, like I took a full shower, like an everything shower basically. And then I did my hair and I got dressed because I had an appointment at 8:30. I had to take my car in to get fixed,
Quick
or like
pause.
checked out. Yeah.
Because our audience is women, you all know what an everything shower is without us even having to explain it. And that's just so fun.
I know, it was so fun. It was so fun. And so I don't always do that before I take my kids to school. Like a lot of times I don't get ready before I take my kids to school because then I just don't take the time to do it, whatever. And then I come back and I get ready after whatever. So I drop the kids off and I take my car in, and I've got this new fancy BMW car, and I made an appointment. So I pulled in, and like, it was lovely. So shout out to Reinbold BMW North, in Indianapolis. But it was a lovely experience. Like I drove in, this like kid who didn't look old enough to drive, like took my information. It was very nice. He's like, you can go to the lounge, blah, blah, blah. It was like this very nice experience.
That's called a greeter. It's the service greeter, the service
yes.
greeter. I know all about these. Alex talks about hiring them all the time. Keep going.
Okay. Well, he was great.
Good.
And I sat in the lobby for like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. I was ready to hunker down, right? Because I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for my car. I'm gonna be here. And my service guy came and got me, and we walked back, and he's like, okay. He's like, listen. Didn't say listen. He was like, we've got a lot of cars. We're backed up, so we have you lined up for a car, like a rental car. And I was like, oh, okay. Because when I like booked the appointment, I just asked to wait. And listen, some of you guys are listening and you're like, yeah, duh, bitch, this is how this works. This is new experience for me, okay? I've been driving a Chevy for many years, okay? And so I was like, oh, okay. And so he's like, yep, it's all covered. Don't worry about it. We've already got it ready for you. We will drive you over there, and you will get out, and we'll put all your things into the new car and blah, blah, blah. And so I got my free rental car, which is like a really nice
newer version
BMW.
of essentially yours. Yeah. right?
Well, they didn't have an X7. So I have an X7, which is the big mommy car. So this is like a zippy little X1. But it's brand new and it's cute and it's small, but it'll be fine for the next 3 days, which they're like, it might be 3 days. This is how long. And this is just like I don't know what's wrong. It's a check engine light came on. And so then I like get in my car, my new car, and everything's zippy and good. And I go and I have now hired, per everyone's advice, specifically yours, Cheryl, somebody that comes twice a week and helps me with laundry and cleanup and dishes and whatever. So this was her second day this week. So she comes 2 times a week. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to go work at a coffee shop because I don't want to interrupt her and what she's doing. And so I go, I do like a shit ton of work. I just like bang it out. I get so much done on my checklist. And I came home and my house was clean. And I was just like, what is this magical feeling? And here's some concepts that I realized. One, this is such a wealth privilege, right? Like all of these are privileges because of money, right? Like I have a nice car, so I take my car to go get fixed at the nice dealership who offers these things. And my life is easier because of that. And I know it's built in there somewhere, but also like, isn't it interesting that when you're working at a luxury dealership, they're giving you this rental for free, right? Like to a demographic of people who could pay for it, right? Like they could pay for a rental car, but they're not. Whereas like if I were to go to my Chevy dealership, never did I get a free rental car. Never. And that would have been helpful to me.
To your point, the people at that price point driving the Chevy instead of the Mercedes or the BMW or whatever this luxury vehicle is.
Yeah.
Getting this luxury experience. The Chevy person realistically probably has a job to get to that they really can't miss.
Yeah.
Maybe springing for that rental car is going to kind of break the bank. They don't have the funds for it. It's really this, I mean, the rich get richer.
Because the rich get richer because they're not having to, they do pay, right? They do pay for things, but then there are so many things that they get as a privilege or as a courtesy or whatever because of that privilege or that wealth or whatever it is that they're not actually paying more for things. And so I was like, holy shit. So that was interesting. And that I got to come back, and that I have the ability to pay for this lady to come a couple times a week and do this, like, has really made my life today so far so much easier. And I really was able to sit and focus on my work and do more work and do better work because all these other things that had been really weighing me down were being taken care of.
Yep.
And I was just like, dude, this is it. Like, when we talk about like, what are the life hacks or what are the secrets? Or it's really just money. And it's really just money. Yeah.
Because it doesn't buy happiness, but it buys a relief. It buys a helping hand.
Yeah. It buys time. It buys privilege. It buys so many things that when we think, however everybody feels about whatever the happening in the political climate and the potential coup that's actually happening in our government right now, holy cannoli. This is why it's important for women to continue to make money. This is why it's important for women to have these conversations and to not feel bad about making money, not just because you get the free rental car at the BMW dealership, but because it does afford choice. It does afford privilege. It does afford all of these things. So that's my little sidebar.
And let's not gatekeep. Let me tell you guys what I'm paying for this mommy helper, this house helper, and Colleen, you too, because this might feel like, oh, I could never afford that. I could not afford a mommy helper. I could not afford a house helper. Basically a wife. I've hired myself a wife that comes 4 hours a week, 2 days, 4 hours split between 2 days.
Yep.
I'm paying her $25 an hour. This is $400 a month that I'm spending to have like peace. She came yesterday. I walked through the door with the kids and I'm like, like My bed's made nicer than how I make it. Like, my laundry's been put away. The dishes, the sink is empty. The dishwasher's been unloaded and reloaded. And, like, the table's wiped. And just, like, the things in the morning that I don't have time to do that leave me feeling unsettled and stressed when I walk through the door now are just done twice a week, which is, I don't need her every day. I mean, I want her every day. That may be super clear if she would come every day, and I, that would be great. But 2 days a week is enough that I get to come home twice a week and feel settled. And we just also don't get out of control with that Monday through Friday grind of, like, get home from school, the kids have basketball, we're home, we have to do homework, it's bedtime, I'm now fucking beat, and I don't have time, and my husband's not learned to completely do the dishes ever. He's missed that day in class of how to finish the dishes. So it's just like, this is amazing.
Yeah. I have the same thing. This girl, I say girl, she's 19, and I pay her $21 an hour, $84 a week. It's only been this week, but so far I literally am like, will you marry me?
Seriously.
I love you.
I get the benefits of a wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just perfect. Okay.
Colleen. Oh, yeah. Spoiler. Should we jump into our spoiler alert? Onyx Storm.
Yeah. Okay. If you haven't finished Onyx Storm, fast forward for the next, 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
10 minutes?
We'll give us 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. I just finished it 2 nights ago.
Likewise.
Yep. So good. I had a friend that was like, I'm not sure I'm going to read it because she didn't love the second one. And I was like, do yourself
She
a
didn't
favor.
love the second one?
I know. I'm so sorry, Rebecca Yarros. I don't know what's wrong with my friend Elena.
Oh, okay.
Elena.
So, yeah, Elena. Oh, my God. The second one was, I thought, better than the first. But this one was so good. And I found myself, like, just loving the parts where Xaden was, like, just happy. And I was just, those parts where you were just like, he was happy and everything was like okay for a little bit.
Just
but
staring
also
off into the beauty. Like,
and what I thought was interesting in this book, and I don't remember it in the other two, and I reread the other two before Onyx Storm came out. I didn't have to remember anything, was he called her love. Did you notice that? Like,
no.
He's like, oh, love, blah, 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 or yes, love, blah. Never before did he call her that. And maybe I noticed because I listen, I don't read. And I thought that was such a different little perspective, a little tweak of his character. But also, oh my God, what is happening at the end, and who channeled, and what is happening? Go.
Yeah,
what do you
who
think?
Channeled? I know that the suspicion is Bodhi or Garrick is kind of what the masses are thinking. But I did want to throw a plug out for Dane.
You said this, and I was like, oh, okay. But here's why I think no, because doesn't he say, like, towards the end, doesn't Xaden say, like, oh, but you were always, like, by my side, or you always, like, why
he's
would
been
you
watching
do
me.
this?
I know he's been watching me for, like, the last 5 months. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe Bodhi.
Or could it have been Imogen?
Oh. Maybe.
And we know Imogen erased Violet's mind at the end. That's why she doesn't know everything, right?
Yes.
But then somebody else said to me, my friend Lindsay, who does my hair, and she is the one who got me started reading all these books. And she and I have been texting nonstop, and she's been sending me every single reel about this. But she said she thinks the last bit of Xaden's soul is in the emerald that's in her ring, like Horcrux style, like Harry Potter Horcrux style.
She has my soul.
Yeah.
There was something about that. Oh, how interesting.
I was like, oh my God. But obviously he married her. So why I think it could be Bodhi is this is why I'm thinking it could be Bodhi. And then we might be past our 5 minutes. I think it might be Bodhi because Bodhi was the heir to Tyrannor, right?
He was the spare.
He's the spare.
The heir and the
cousin.
spare.
He's the last living relative, right? Although he does have brothers. Wasn't there a mention about like the brother was the Jack Barlow thing. Anyway, So he does have brothers, but they're not the same line. They're not like the same
Must
line.
be different marriage.
Well, no, it's his mom. It's the mom's sons, not so they're his brothers through his mom, but not his dad. Okay, so the dad, so that's not it. But anyway, I think it's Bodhi because that way that's why he had to marry Violet so that Violet could take over Tyrrendor.
Yeah, but also he wanted to marry Violet the whole.
I know he wanted to marry her.
Book.
And do you remember in one of the beginning of one of the chapters, it's like a cadet
Keep fast forwarding. Yeah, a cadet is not allowed to marry.
But a lieutenant can do. A lieutenant can do whatever they want.
Right.
And he had resigned as a professor. So
that's right.
Anyway, there's so much going on, and I can't believe we have to wait 1 billion years because apparently Rebecca Yarros said she hasn't even started the next book. She hasn't started the next book.
She has it plotted, but she's not written it. But she's taking a break for her health because she's going to
write another book first.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Nobody cares about whatever that other book is, to be honest.
I mean,
so what are you reading now? What's your Onyx Storm hangover?
I'm so lonely.
I am too.
So sad, and I don't have any Audible credits right now, and I'm maxed out on my Spotify until tomorrow. So tomorrow, actually, I'll finish the 10 times is easier than 2 times because I've been locked out because I used all my hours on Spotify. Oh. I have Spotify Premium, and you get a bunch of access to free audiobooks, but I think it's only 16 hours a month that you get access to, and my restart is February 6th. Sounded like it should be enough, and now I'm like, whoa, that was not enough.
Not enough. Okay, so I didn't know what to do, and I kind of like looked, and I was like, what should I read? And everybody says you should read The Nightingale, but I don't think that I'm mentally or emotionally prepared for that. Like I can't. So I started rereading at Qatar. I was like, this is fun and easy. I already know what's going to happen, but now I want to read it again because I know what's going to happen. So maybe there's more things that I'll pick up. So that's what I think I
might go back to the Fourth Wing and do all 3 in consecutive order.
I thought about doing that too.
Yeah. I don't know. But yes, The Nightingale's really good, but The Nightingale has what I'm currently seeing happen in our government.
Oh, God.
It makes me really sick. Because, and I think this is how we should teach history is with these stories of the people living through it. Because, and maybe like 8th grade Cheryl still wouldn't have really dug in as much and cared as much. But like, God, this is so impactful when you hear it happening to a person and get to experience it through their eyes. It's so impactful, way more than like textbook.
Yeah. 100%. And I was just going to tell you, but I remembered it was from a different book. So I'm reading the Wings of Fire series to Vivian.
Okay.
Do you know? Which is about dragons. Also about dragons. But anyway, in one of these books, this is really interesting. There's not people in this. It's just dragons. Anyway, so there's these battle between these 2 dragons, and how they resolve this battle is one of these has like magical powers, and they allow both teams, for lack of a better term, of these dragons having this war into each other's minds for 100 heartbeats. And they like, the whole idea is to what you're talking about. It's like when you see somebody else's feelings or see somebody else's side or whatever, and then they like, were like, oh my God, no, we can't have this war. I can't kill this person now. Now I know like how they're feeling or what their emotions are, or what, they have a family, blah, blah, blah. So I wish we could just do that.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, well, none of this is what we're talking about today, but thanks for hanging in there with us, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to talk about what we would like to tell 5 years ago ourselves. Like, what do we wish we could tell ourselves 5 years ago?
Yeah, I love this. Okay, I love this because, well, let's set the scene. 5 years ago was 2020.
Yeah, so it was today's February 5th, 2020. So we are a month and a half away from the world shutting down.
Yeah.
I am a month away from finding out that I'm pregnant with June unexpectedly. Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah. So we know
where were you?
You know what's really interesting? Okay, so I lived in LA still, And I was taking a class or doing something, or I knew this guy, and his business, what it was like a networking, I don't know what it was, but it was this guy, and his business was importing things from China to America. Okay. So February 2020. And he's like, yeah, my business is fucked because all of China is shut down and I can't import anything. It was like, I got to hear and see this like
firsthand
premonition, foreboding of like what was going to happen. And he's like, yeah, it's a big deal and it's really affecting my business right now. This is like kind of a big business guy. And he's like, it's literally, we can't get anything from China, out of China, whatever. I think at this point, my business has been really picking up. We have been in business for 2 years and we were really starting to get busy. We're getting a lot of referrals. We had a lot of big projects. We had a huge flip with now pretty well-known designer and her husband, who was a flipper. So we had this big project. It was really great, whatever. There was a lot going on. It was hard though. It was a hard time for us in business. That's kind of set the scene. That's where we were. Hard meaning like there was a lot of growth happening for us.
Yeah.
And Jackson was it was 18 months basically at this point.
Mm-hmm. I was still working for, oops, I never say their name. I'll bleep that out. I was still working for the insurance company. Okay. So number one thing, well, the first thing that came to mind is don't snooze on nurturing your marriage during this next season.
Okay.
Because I think we could have avoided some pretty hard times had we prioritized each other in our marriage during this time. But like truly during COVID, we lived separate lives. Like I was advised to not even like go on a walk in my neighborhood without a mask because I was pregnant and I had autoimmune diseases and we didn't know what was going to, like what effect that would have on me. And Alex was in what they deemed a critical or whatever they called that, like a necessary job. And he was business as usual. So I was home with 2 kids, pregnant, and au pair, and trying to work remotely during the entire COVID. And then we also, like during this time in February, we moved back home after having moved out since December because our house had flooded and we had to pipe back up and we had to remedy that and we had to move out. And then when we ended up doing like a massive remodel because we had to have walls open anyways. And we had already God, this was so fucked. December of 2019, we were intended to be dried in on this remodel we were doing where we added like 5 feet to the front of the house and then a covered patio that was stunning and beautiful. And like the covered patio is Alex's dream. We made this work. Well, when we added the covered patio, we put in a beam to allow us to be able to take down a wall when we were ready. We weren't ready though. Like this project was draining us. We were spending all our money on that. So we weren't going to move anything anytime soon. Well, then we flooded like a week before we were supposed to be dried in on the project. And we were flooded with, I guess, no matter what you flood with, but it was like basically sewer water. It wasn't sewer, but it was like backed up out of those pipes. So we just took the wall down when we did that. We ended up having to redo our whole kitchen and a massive remodel. And like, thankfully we got some insurance money towards it, but not nearly enough. Yeah. So we moved out, we moved back in February to a house that was still not done. We moved back into plywood floors. I bought $100 Home Depot like laundry sink for our kitchen sink. We had like a table set up, like a folding table set up, and we moved in there. And Emmy had just started crawling. She was 9 months old.
Oh shoot! And
so she was crawling there, and then I accidentally got pregnant. The night we moved home, we celebrated, and we missed a step. And I had ovulated for the first time since having since having Emmy that week.
Dang.
So ended up pregnant and was super angry about it. June, I love you. I wouldn't trade you for the world. And actually, this is one of my things that comes right after this is it's for the best that you got pregnant outside of my timeline. Like if I had waited, I wouldn't have gotten pregnant till August. This was February. I would have intentionally waited till at least August to get pregnant with June. And we would have been right in the middle of COVID. I had such a traumatic birth with Emmy that I think I wouldn't have intentionally been able to let myself get pregnant because I was scared. And also COVID and autoimmune disease and everything. Like, I think I probably would have been like, no. And like, obviously we can't imagine a life without June. So
I just a sidebar on that. Everett was that for me. I got pregnant with Everett unintentionally. Vivian was very intentional. Everett was like, oh my God. Because I was not, we were planning on having 2 kids, but I didn't know that we were going to have them so close together. They're 20 months apart, which isn't in hindsight that bad, but it is close.
Well, that's a lot in the young age. That's for sure.
Yeah. Vivian wasn't even 1 when I got pregnant. And I remember being at her first birthday party talking to a bunch of girls my age. And there were a bunch of other women my age who were getting pregnant and having kids really close together. And I remember being such a bitch and being like, I can't believe all these people our age are having these kids so close together. Like, what is happening? I was fucking pregnant at that time and didn't know it. And I was nursing, so I didn't expect to be pregnant. Anyway, I wouldn't have traded that for the world. Myth.
You can get pregnant while you're nursing?
Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. Anyway, I wouldn't have traded for the world. So anyway, go back. So now we're fast forward. We're in 2020. Okay, so working on your relationships, spending more time on your relationship with your husband.
Yeah, because you've got to be like that team. Or if you start working on opposite sides of that team, like shit gets hard fast. Yeah. That's
something that David and I always talk about. And we're not perfect by any means. But when I talk about David and I, like, I love David so much, and we are a team first, right? Like, and I talk about that. We both played a lot of sports. I worked in athletics for 1 billion years, right? So this analogy is very fitting for us. Like, we're a team and we support each other the way you support your teammate. I also talk about, like, especially in basketball, right? Like, there are times when somebody is on your team where somebody is the star and somebody is the supporting role. And sometimes that flips. And that's part of being a team. And so I really lean into that analogy a lot as far as a marriage goes or a long-term relationship goes. Because sometimes your teammate sucks. You know what I mean? Like, but
they're having a real off day.
They can be having or a season. Their shots just aren't falling no matter what, right? But you don't let your teammate down. If you're shitty to your teammate, then that doesn't help the team. Anyway, so I'm with you on that. That 2020 and that 5 years ago was really rough on our marriage as well. In so many ways. We had a business together. David was also, his life did not change during COVID at all. And I became very resentful of that. Yep. He just got up, went to work every day, came home. And this was a time when he got up at 4 and left and then came home because of commutes and traffic and work and whatever, 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I was literally working full time, running our business. I had 3 kids and we never saw him. So it was like being a married single parent.
Right.
And it was really that, I think, much respect to single parents. I was raised by one. My sister is one. We know a lot. I will never. They deserve all the credit in the world.
All.
But they deserve something.
Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Yes. But also with that is, I guess, the knowledge and the preparedness to know that you are a single parent, right? And I think there is something about being a married single parent when you have an expectation that your partner is going to help you and they don't or they can't. And that is a real mind fuck. And that creates so much resentment and discourse. At least it did in for me.
Everybody I talk to. Like, it is easier. Like these moms that like the husbands travel, they'll tell me all the time, like the week that my husband is gone, We get in a groove. We've got it.
Yep.
Like I have no expectation that someone's going to pick up some of the slack. I just know
Correct.
that I'm doing it all by myself. I'm mentally prepared for that and I'm ready to go. When my partner is home and they're not pulling their weight, that is a much different grind.
Yeah, it's harder. And I say that to David even now. Like, I need you to communicate, like, if you're going to be late, if you're not going to be home for dinner, if you're not, like, cool, bro, I can do it. I just need to know because I need to mentally and physically prepare myself differently. And it's fine. I can do it. But if I'm expecting you to be home and you're not, then I'm not prepared for that. This was a really, really challenging time for me if we're going past February, like if we're going into 2020, and really a time of a lot of what will turn into a lot of growth. And I think this was the time period, and what I would say to myself in this time is keep going. Just keep going. And the decisions that I made in 2020 and 2021 were the decisions that changed my life 100%. I wouldn't be living in my 4,000 square foot house, driving my BMW with a 6-figure business that I run by myself with going on vacations, blah, 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 blah. All the things that I do would not have happened if it hadn't been for the shitty time that I had in 2020 and 2021 and the decisions that I made based off of that shitty time. So I don't regret those experiences at all. They were fucked. But it got me to a point where I was willing to make decisions to better my life and not sit in the shit, basically, like, and to take, and to really look at things and be willing to acknowledge opportunity. And that's what it was for us. That's what it was. And in the ability to, we had all the episodes the 2 episodes with Allie about winners quitting. And this was a winners quit kind of mentality for me, where I had gotten to the point where, like, I was really stressed out at work. I was not seeing my husband. I was raising the 3 kids by myself. We were paying almost $900 a week cash to our nanny because I couldn't do it by myself, and the kids weren't in school. You and I were in California. Nothing was open, right? Like, and it was at that point where I said to myself, like, there has to be something better than this. This is not the life that I want to live. And so I would tell myself, like, just keep going. Like, keep going because you're setting yourself up for something so much better. Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, it's significant.
It is. That kind of parlays well into my next note I had was, you don't have to stay in the job you hate. You will be successful in whatever you do because you have the skills, the heart, and the ambition. Like, I know those things about myself. Like, I wish I would have had that confidence earlier to make a jump and believe in myself.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that leads me into, like, it's okay to let go of the people who don't make you feel good, and really be reflective of how you feel and who is making you feel not good, right?
Yeah.
No matter how they are related to you. And I really didn't realize myself how affected I was by the people around me until I was able to remove myself from that situation. And that I'm still seeing the effects of that. I mean, we've been here almost 4 years. I'm still seeing the effects of that 4 years later. Like, I'm still feeling like, I talk about, it's kind of like, the Shrek, like, peeling onion kind of, you know, like these layers of that I really enclosed myself in to protect myself from certain people and from certain environments and from certain situations. I'm able to, like, let some of those go. And it's really allowed me to just skyrocket in everything that I'm doing. And so,
yeah, you're not having to spend your energy protecting yourself now. You're able to spend your energy thriving.
Yeah. It's really, you're correct. It's an allocation of energy, right? Allocation of time and allocation of energy. I was spending so much time and energy protecting myself, protecting my kids in this, I want to say, and I will say we weren't in like a physically toxic, I wasn't almost threatening us physically, but this mental and emotional shields that you kind of, I had to build up because it was exhausting. And like the ability to be able to like let that go, as hard as that was and as sad as that was, to give myself some space and some distance from these relationships that were really affecting me. I wish I had done that sooner. I think I could have achieved even more. I don't want to say, I would say even more if I had done that sooner. So when you can recognize that you're in a, I don't know what else to call it, but like a toxic situation or a toxic relationship, recognize what it is and remove yourself from that as quickly as you can, because you will be able to allocate that energy in a different direction and do so much more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my next thing I would have told myself is to bid higher on the acre property in town.
Oh, okay.
It is not that I do not love Sunset Ranch. It has really opened doors and it's been incredible for us, but as I'm like here now and I want to be closer, and we at the end of 2020 lost a bidding war on a place that was an acre in Santa Margarita. It had 2 houses on it, a primary and a rental, which was like a must have for me if we were going to sell the house we were in. We had to, I wasn't making a lateral move. I was making a move to becoming landlords.
Yeah.
In a more traditional way. We had been doing short-term rentals like within our home. We had added a private unit, but that was like my stick in the sand, was like, we're not making a lateral move. We're making a move up. And Alex's deal was like, he wanted more space, and that could have accomplished both of those things for us. And we lost the bidding war on that one. And
by
like
how much
also,
do you know? Do you know? Oh,
it wasn't much. I mean, we were also going to be a contingent sale. So, you know, that probably could have been a factor as well. But yeah, man, I wish we would have won that one. And I wish I would have understood even more about real estate and negotiating than I did at the time. Yeah. Because I could have gotten really aggressive. But hindsight's 2020. This opened doors. That could have opened the same doors, which is why that's kind of a bummer. But oh well. We're here. Well. Everything happens the way it should. But
does it?
Sure would have liked that commute.
Okay, here's what I would tell myself. Also, I don't know if I could have, but I would have told myself to invest.
Yes.
As much or as little as I could. Just start investing. I don't know. Like, I think that's anybody, right? It's like the same thing as like, when's the best time to buy a house? The best time to buy a house was 10 years ago, right? But the next best time is now. So I think I would tell myself to become more literate in finances, to become more literate in investing, to become more educated, and not to be scared of that. And that like literally $5 is better than nothing. I would have told myself that 5 years ago. I wish I had started doing that 5 years ago.
Okay, my next one is still relevant. I'm telling myself it every day, but parenting is going to be hard. Get in the habit of making it fun where you can. I mean, my first year with August was just like rainbows and butterflies, aside from the colic, which sucked. But like once we got past that and I started taking an antidepressant, like life was good. And hold on, my dogs are inside and they're soaking wet. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh my God.
Okay, I'm back.
Those are the outside dogs, right?
Well, it was both Mater and the outside dog. We only have one outside dog now. But Mater's outside today because it's soaking wet out there, and he chose to go play this morning, and I'm not dealing with that right now. So he's going to be an outside dog today until I have the capacity to dry him off tonight when it's dark out when we get home. So
is it raining in California?
It rained all day yesterday. It's clear today, but it rained this morning too, and then it starts again tomorrow.
Good. You guys need it.
We need it. We need it. Not too much too fast. Okay, so yeah, parenting is hard. and find ways to make it fun. I had therapy last week. I have been, you guys have probably noticed, but like just in a fucking shitstorm with this parenting stuff for a while. And it's been like affecting every corner of my life. And I'm back with my therapist, who I really hope will come on the podcast. I hope she doesn't deem it a conflict. Okay. But she is so fantastic at like explaining like what's happening scientifically in their brains, in my brain, and then just really great at strategies. And I've seen this, I mean, half this shit that she tells me I've seen a million times on Instagram, but like the way it's being delivered to me, like in relation to my specific scenarios, makes so much sense. But she's essentially like, especially with Emmy, don't engage in the power struggles. So we're having a lot of trouble. Like my days often start fucked up because she's like, brush my teeth, get me dressed, like won't do anything that a normal 5-year-old can do by herself, and that she has been doing for herself for years. And I'm also trying to get the other two out the door and also get myself ready for work. And it's just a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And so I dig in also because I was raised this way, where we set and hold boundaries, and like we picked power struggles as a kid, and my parents picked with them with me. And she's like, don't engage in the power struggle. If she asks you to brush your teeth right now, just brush your damn teeth. Like basically telling me like, she's bidding for connection. And when you decline the connection, it is the same to her as if a bear is attacking her. She needs connection. She doesn't have, it's not happening. So her frontal lobe turns off, her amygdala turns on, and she starts to like go into kind of fight or flight mode. And she's going into full blown fight mode. I mean, I had a toothbrush, a brush, a chair, and a globe thrown at me before 8 a.m. the other day. And she started trying to rip all the clothes out of my closet. And I was like, what the fuck is going on with this demon? It's not that. It's that she feels scared. Like she needed connection. I denied the connection.
Yeah.
And so now that's just the same as if a bear is chasing her in her brain. So she goes into just react mode, fight or flight. And like by not engaging in the power struggle, just by being like, okay, I'll brush your teeth, or like, let's see who can brush our teeth fastest. Or like, are you going to be a monkey brushing your teeth or a zebra brushing your teeth? Like it doesn't have to make any sense. It just has to be like funny and something different for them. The other day she wanted me to carry her everywhere in the morning. So I just did the piggyback ride everywhere to her next thing, and she laughed and she giggled. It was more fun for her. It was more enjoyable for me. It took less time to get everybody ready because there wasn't so much resistance.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this such a hard concept for me? It just isn't natural to me is what it comes down to. And I'm leaning in, and she was really big about like, it sounds hard. It sounds hard to make the change and to like have the creativity to be fun. But like, it is actually so much easier than engaging in the power struggle. Anyhow, I just wish I would have like been more prepared for this part of the parenting.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know that you can though. Like, I think even if you heard this 5 years ago, like you would have been like, nah, man, that's not going to be me. Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like you hear that and you're like, okay. And I think one of the things that's so hard about parenting, especially if you have multiple children, is they're all different. Who knew? They were all going to be different. I know if you don't have multiple children, or if you don't have children, that sounds really dumb. But that was the biggest surprise to me when I had Everett, when I had my second, I was like, whoa. How come you don't respond exactly the same way as Vivian? Like, even as a baby, that was such a shock for me. And even now, like, parenting the 3 kids is so different. Like, and right now it's an interesting time where Vivian is in this tween era, and she needs a lot of attention, and she needs a lot of one-on-one time with me, and that can be exhausting for me, right? And I just have to, and it can be frustrating. Like at bedtime, our bedtime routine is still like hours long, right? Like, but she wants me to lay with her and read to her and lay with her until she falls asleep. And there are a lot of people who are like, that's fucking dumb. I'm never doing that. But I mean, she's almost 11, and I know in 2 years, she's not going to want me to do this. I know she's not. But I also feel like if I spend this time with her now, if I give her this time that she so desperately needs and so desperately wants, same thing, Cheryl, like If I don't do this, she throws a fucking fit. Like, she rages on David so hard. And I want them to create their own relationship, and they will. And we're working on that. But it can't be anybody else other than me. And so, to your point, instead of resisting it, of just leaning in as hard as it is right now, as much as I'd like to get other stuff done at night, you know, talk about like the dishes or even having a conversation with David or talking about anything, I'm just trying to give her this time because I know so quickly that will turn. And it's hard. It's really hard. But it also, I feel bad because I'm not giving that to the boys right now. The boys aren't getting that. And so that's
well, and
tricky
I would
too.
just encourage you to like kind of go against the grain, think outside the box. So like yesterday I picked Emmy up early from school.
Yeah.
Just because I needed to go to the store. Like, she can just come with me. I can take just her and she get the one-on-one time. And I can do the same with her sisters. Like, do the thing you're maybe told you're not supposed to do, because who the fuck cares? Because the most important thing that we can do is raise like securely attached children that go into the world with confidence.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the things that is so different than the way that I was raised, or even the way our parents were raised. It was almost thought of as like bad, like, and there is some of that still. Like, am I coddling her? Is she not independent enough? Is she, you know, like, am I spoiling her? Am I creating somebody who is so reliant or codependent? You know what I mean? Like, there are all of those kinds of like, eek, but I think when it really comes down to it, and we've had this conversation, I think about, maybe I did it on my Instagram, about like, there's this saying, like, if your kid forgets their jacket, like, don't bring it to them because I'm going to bring them the jacket every fucking time. If I can. I'm going to bring them the jacket every single time. You know why? Because I want to be somebody that they can rely on. I want to be somebody that they can come to when they need help. And that is something that is so small that if I can do it, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? If it's an inconvenience for me, I get it. But like, one day somebody forgot some homework or something like that. And I think it was Jackson. Or he didn't have homework. He's in first grade. But like something. He forgot something. Library book. This is what it was. And he's like, oh my God, Mom, I forgot the library book. And he was really stressed out. And I'm like, I'll get you the library book, man. Like, it's cool. And it was something that was annoying for me. I had to go home and come back. It's, you know, like 20 minutes home, 20 minutes back to school, 20 minutes again to go wherever I'm going. So added time. But for him to feel confident going into school, knowing that I've got his back and knowing that that he can rely on me for this, that's important to me, because I don't need to send a 6-year-old stressed out into school because he's worried about the library book. So
yeah. Hopefully they live in a life where they don't actually have to like do everything on their own. Like, I hope they have a teammate and a family to support them. And, you know, I plan to be that to them forever, as long as I can.
Yeah. I think sometimes this came out of the fact that like some of us had to be so independent. Like I'd say
your Instagram this week. So funny. Dude. Like, you're so funny, and your explanation was hilarious.
Have you seen those? It's like a trend that's going on. It's like the trauma dump trend, and it's like, you're so funny. Mine was like, thanks. I was a latchkey kid, and I had to make my own dinner starting at 8 years old, and I had to work in my parents' factory for no pay, and I blah, 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 whatever, right? And now my kids get mad when the rental car doesn't have heated seats in the back, because, and you know, it's funny, now they're like so spoiled, but like, it's okay. As an 8-year-old kid, like, I was too independent, in my opinion, right? Like, at 8, you know, by 8 or 9, I was riding my bike to school by myself, riding my bike home by myself, coming home to an empty house, like making my own snack, doing my homework without anybody asking me, making my own dinner. My sister was there sometimes. I don't know. She was 4 years older than me, so she was 12. But she was also in high school at that time because she skipped 8th grade. So she was doing something totally different.
Yeah.
And so I look at Everett, who's 9, who's now in 3rd grade, and I don't want him to have to do those things. Like, that's not something that emotionally or mentally somebody at that age should have to do. Right?
Right. There's a time and a place where you get to learn those skills, and it doesn't have to be at 8 years old.
I mean, everything. I did my own laundry at 8 years old. And I remember doing the laundry and opening the top, and I would stick a hanger, because when you would close it, it wouldn't work if it was open, because they were the top spinners. And I would stick a hanger in the little latch where it was supposed to go down so I could watch it spin. First of all, what the fuck? Second of all, that's so dangerous. What if I stuck my arm in there? What if the hanger flew out? What if these were wire hangers? But I was literally doing all of these things by the time I was 8 years old. And yeah, did that make me strong and independent? And did it give me lots of life skills? Did it maybe push me to be as ambitious or achieve the things that I want to today? Yeah, but you know what? But also, I think made it difficult to have relationships, made it harder to have
someone else you could rely on.
Yeah. And I grew up thinking I would get married, have kids, get divorced, and get on with my life, because that was my expectation. That was my expectation of even I said that even when David and I started dating, that was my expectation, because I was like, well, I don't need a partner to do any of these things.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
It was, and literally I believed that in my soul, that I was gonna have kids and then get divorced and then just carry on with my life, because I could do everything by myself, because my mom had to do everything by herself, right? My parents split up when I was 6, and so that's what I saw. Yeah. And that makes such a difference when I try to model, for our kids now, David and I try to model what a real relationship looks like, and what, and it's not perfect, but it's important for me for my kids to see us hug, or it's important for our kids to see us kiss or be affectionate, because I didn't see my parents hug until after they were divorced. I never saw my parents hug until I was 11, ever. And it was I remember the first time I saw it, and they were divorced, and I was like, that's weird. And that's something that stuck with me forever. I don't even know why. 5 years ago, I would just say, keep working on your relationships, and don't have expectations of your kids to be older than they should be, and let's let our kids be kids. That's what what I would say. But I feel like we could
deep dive to get to know you. I know.
There's a lot, and I think it's interesting when we see people, and this is really, and we can end up on this, but I think I saw a reel recently, or it was what's her name, who's the real estating, Holly, what's her name?
Do I follow her?
I don't know. She's a Compass agent, Holly Myers something.
No, I don't think I follow her.
Okay, Holly Myers Lucas. She's a coach, real estate agent. But she put this reel out about tell your story. Mm-hmm. People want to see, they want to know you, they want to hear your story, that that's how you. And I think Instagram and social media is an interesting place, because you get to build your story however you want, right? Mm-hmm. It's perception is reality. But I think the things that make us connect so much is and I've said this I taught a class on building generational wealth. And the first thing I usually say when I get up there is listen, I know I look like a rich white lady, but here's the things about me, right? Right. Here are the things that are about me. So I've gotten to this point, and I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still not financially where I'd like to be, but I'm getting there. And I think it's an interesting perspective to be able to really sit down and have these conversations and really get to know people and really understand where they're coming from. And I think that creates so much connection. You don't have to go up and blast your trauma all over the place. But when people can know where you're coming from, they connect with you more. And that just helps you get to wherever you're going, to the next level of where you're trying to go.
Well, let's bring that full circle back to the conversation we had in the beginning about watching history from someone's actual life perspective, and how much more powerful that is.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think some people are willing to experience those stories, and some people are not. And I think when people are not, that's because of them. You know what I mean? Like, it's because of whatever their trauma, if you will. Yeah. It's their shit, right? So anyway, I don't know what we're talking about, but here I am.
Thanks for coming.
Blasting it.
We'll see you next week.
I'm an open book. What do you want to know? We'll talk about it all. But I guess what I do want to say is, like, for the women that are listening and our 0 men that still listen, I don't know even if we have any that still, but it's fine. But like, just keep going. Like, just keep going. That's the biggest thing that I would have told myself 5 years ago. It's the biggest thing I'm telling myself now is, like, just keep going. Be willing to change, be willing to adapt, but just keep going. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And start. My advice for 5 years ago is just start.
I love it.
Thanks for playing, guys. We'll see you next week. Keep doing it right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth.
And remember, you're